Welcome, students. In this second lecture on fourth unit of industrial psychology, to start with, in the previous class we discussed very important concepts which are very important from examination point of view, like work curves, the various types of work curves, and before that we understood what is the definition of efficiency and effectiveness. There are three types of work curve that we can draw this graphs and get it explained in the exam as well. And then we have this job design concept where we discussed about the job design, how it is important and how why job design is important. And then we discussed about job characteristics model, what are the five job characteristics and what are the stages under which these characteristics get influenced and the outcomes reached. Ultimately, effectiveness has to be reached through job characteristics model, and these are the core job characteristics. And MPS is nothing but motivation potential score. So how an employee is motivated, it is used using this formula: skill variety plus task identity plus task significance divided by 3 into autonomy and feedback. This is how motivating potential score is calculated. So in the previous class we discussed all these things. Going further, today, let us understand workspace and arrangements in organizations. As you all know, when we go for a work, there is a workspace or office or a factory, and there are few arrangements that are arranged or organized in such a way that efficiency is reached. So, there are basically three types of factors which are considered in workspace and arrangements. The first one is functional factors, then the second one is technical factors, and the third one is financial factors. So, when you look at functional factors, the operations and activities of the organization should be examined first. You have to understand what type of organization it is. Is it a product oriented organization? What are the important processes? What are the steps? How the production goes, or how the service flows in the organization, in case of service organizations like banks, schools, hospitals and all. So the operations and activities of the organization has to be assessed first. Next one is accurate definition of user requirements. What does the user require? I mean the customer or the consumer, whoever comes into the organization, what does he require? So those things has to be first understood. Then space adjacency requirements. You have to understand how much space is required, what is not required, minimum space required, and how it should be adjacent to. For example, there's a famous example here which I can quote, like sugar cane fields. Wherever there are sugarcane fields, there only they install or what they establish sugar factories, because transportation is huge, and the sugarcane when transported for a longer time, I mean during transit, there will be loss of sugar, so some kind of chemical reaction will happen in sugarcane. So that's why usually sugarcane sugar factories are located near sugarcane fields. So that's how you can say that space adjacency requirements. Then the next one is development and implementation of workplace area standards. There are few standards which are very much important, which are to be maintained. For example, in a restaurant, they have to follow FSSAI standards, food safety and security standards, Authority of India. They have laid down few standards that are to be followed in restaurants and hotels. Then for example, if it's a production company, then ISO certifications are required. It is International Standard Organization certifications. Those are required and it to be implemented. Whereas For example, hospitals, they have again a governing authority, which actually lays down the rules and regulations. Then specification of common facilities. There are like what is the common facility that is being used if there are many production, many processes or many units at the same place, that has to be assessed. Then anticipation of change. What kind of change you want to bring with the workspace arrangements in the organization. Then going further, these are few functional factors which are related to the functions of the organization. Then when you understand the technical factors, physical constraints, I mean the area required, okay, and how much you can afford. See, normally all organizations cannot afford huge areas, but how much you want to have, but what is required, and do you want to own the space, or do you want to get it on lease, or do you want to take it on rent. So these are few things which are kept in mind. Then ergonomics, what is the best way to get the work done, best way to place the machines or the workstations in the organization so that the efficiency is reached. Where should be the room of the CEO, where should the finance department be seated, and how the things should flow, how the customer should come into the organization or the employees. So like that, the ergonomics has to be decided. Then next one is provisions for specially abled. See, nowadays with the more focus on people who are disabled, or who nowadays we call them as specially abled. So like in place of stairs, ramp is being laid. You can see in most of the educational institutions it has become mandatory to have special facility for specially abled. Even nowadays we have big huge facilities like auditoriums, stadiums and all, with separate facility for specially abled people. Then life safety mandates. If there is risk, or if it is there are hazards associated with the organization, where the organization set up, so those mandates have to be followed, like fire extinguishers, and then emergency whatever, like it depends on what type of organization it is. So life safety measures has to be followed depending on the statutory guidelines. Next one is financial factors. Under financial factors, like budget allocation, how much budget you have, the organization has kept for arranging the office or the factory. And cost of usable space. Unusable space, you can give it again on lease to other people. So what is the cost, exact cost of usable space, what is the cost of unusable space? The unusable space, you can use it as a investment option where you can sell it or give it on lease, like that. So you have to find out the cost of usable space. Allowable project cost, okay. So maybe you have allocated a budget, then what is the allowable project cost to be decided. Cost per workstation, when it's a service oriented or not production oriented, but each workstation is a place where the employee does his work. Okay, each employee will have an own, like desk, chair, and with all the files or stationery required, or maybe computers and all. So this is called workstation. Then cost of moving in, how much does it charge expenditure, so that the employees can move into the new facility. So these are the factors that are to be assessed from financial point of view. So therefore workspace and arrangements in organizations has to consider these three types of important factors: functional factors, technical factors, and financial factors. So if it might come in the long question, like what are the factors that affect workspace and arrangement, so you can write about this. Now going further, let us now understand work methods. What are work methods? Work methods are the physical actions employed to perform a task. Evaluating and modifying work methods to prevent discomfort and injury is one of the several components of an effective ergonomics program. Work methods are also called as work practices. Work methods are used for a task include each physical step performed during the process of the work. The physical way in which a task is performed can have a substantial impact on the level of ergonomic risk associated with the job. So, work method is nothing but the physical actions employed to perform a task. So, these are work methods. So, improving the work methods improves efficiency. So the and first we have to analyze what kind of work methods are implemented in your organization, and you have to suggest improvement in job performance. Usually these technique designed is for improving the work method, and this is called process improvements. There are four steps in improving the work methods. First one is eliminate unnecessary activities. Then second one is combine two or more activities. Third one is sequence the various activities, and then simplify the work activities. What is elimination? Elimination means first of all you should just jot down what are the activities in the process, and then you have to eliminate which are unnecessary activities, or unnecessary or unwanted activities is the important step in developing an improved method. If elimination is not possible, then possibility of combining the different activities can be explored. That is, you have to combine two or more activities. The next strategy is development stages to identify the scope of change in the sequence of operations. Then the last and most important one is simplify the activities. Simplify the activities. So the in this method, development is simply the simplification of activities in order to allow the operator or the worker or the employee to complete the job more quickly and easily, reducing the number of operations, reducing of eliminating the delays and storage, and thus selecting the work method is to be adopted. Certain amount of experimentation is also required to locate and eliminate snags. Specify the improved method. It is essential that the selected method be described fully and systematic way. So this is how the work methods can be improved, and this process is also called as process improvement formula. So four important steps: eliminate unnecessary activities, combine two or more activities, sequence the various activities, and properly simplify the activities. Now work methods types. Work methods are usually calculated based on hours, like 9 to 5 schedule, shift work, flexible work, part time or full time work. An employee's work schedule includes days and times that he or she is expected to be working. In most of the cases, it could be number of hours or number of days. When looking at for jobs, it is helpful to know that kind of what kind of work schedule you are looking for. You can use the information to narrow your job search and help you to prepare for interview questions related to the work schedule. So first one is work methods by hours. That is, by hours you are being paid. Like for example, uh, freelancers who work for hours on projects, and they are paid based on hours. Usually in western countries also based on hours, the amount is given as wages. Next one is 9 to 5 work schedule. 9 to 5 work schedule. The 9 to 5 schedule is the most common work schedule, requiring employees to work from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Sometimes, many jobs differ slightly. For example, 9 to 5 from Monday to Saturday, and sometimes, there will be 8 to 6. So, slightly there will be change in hours. The variations of work schedules are a result of the type of the job and the company in which they are working. A restaurant might work from evening like 4 p.m. to midnight. So the Work schedule changes depending on the type of the organization. Next one is shift work schedule. Shift work schedules happen when a company divides the day into shifts and assigns employees to work based on time. Sometimes these shifts vary day to day or week to week, while some other times an employee will be hired to work at for only one specific fixed schedule. There are two types of schedules in shift work schedule. One is rotating schedule and the other one is fixed schedule. So in fact, fixed schedule only one specific schedule is there. Only one specific schedule is done, and in flexible, sorry, rotating schedule, the schedules are rotated. One today, if this week it is night shift, then next week maybe it will be day shift. So like that, the schedules rotate. There are also modified shift schedules in which companies do not run 24/7 but instead open early and close late. Employees take shifts throughout the day to cover these hours. For example, someone might have to shift from 7 to 4, while another person may be from 1 to 10. So, like that, these are called modified shift schedules. And next, shift work is particularly common in medicine where many doctors and nurses are required to work at the same time or to be available at the hospital or nursing home. Other careers that typically require shift schedules are security, military, transportation, retail, and many such. Shift schedules might involve alternating day and night shifts, working 4 days of shifts and then having 3 days of working for 12-hour shifts. So, like that, the combinations may differ. So, this is about shift work schedule. The next one is flexible shift flexible shift Flexible work schedule. Other work schedules are flexible. Flexible schedules allow employees to vary their arrival and departure and sometimes even choose the days that they work. For example, a company might allow employees to come in any time they want, like 8, and but every day they have to be there for 8 hours a day. So this is called flexible work schedule. For example, a company might allow employees to come anytime they want and work for a specific number of hours every day. Other companies have slightly stricter but still flexible schedules. For example, an organization might let employees arrive anytime between 9 to 11 and leave anytime between 5 to 7. They might also be allowed to take off during the work week as long as they come in a weekend day. Next one is part time and full time schedules. Part-time and full-time schedules. A standard definition of a full-time employee is someone who works 40 hours a week. When a person works 40 hours a week, it is called a standard work schedule. But there is no official legal guidelines as to regarding this 40-hour week. Similarly, there is no legal guideline for the number of hours worked by part-time employees. It's like simple that someone who works fewer hours per week than a full-time employee at the same company. The common difference between full and part-time employees is schedule. Full-time employees often have a set schedule which does not vary from week to week. They do not have to clock or in clock out, while this can also be the case for part-time employees. Full-time employees are more likely to receive benefits, whereas part-time employees they are not. And full-time employees are usually exempt and they sometimes will be paid overtime. They will not receive, whereas part-time employees sometimes they don't receive overtime. They work like, so if they work for few hours as it is mandated in the employment contract, they have to follow that. So therefore these are the work method types. First one is work method by hours, 9 to 5 work schedule, shift work schedule, flexible work schedule, and part time and full time schedules. So, this is about work methods. Going further, let us now understand the most important thing. What are the factors that affect a work study? There are four important factors which actually impact or affect the work method: nature of job, level of performance, complexity of job, and performance of the work. So, the nature of an employee's work should be the type of work he's doing. So, it actually helps a human resource manager to assess the what type of work he's doing and what type of performance is expected. Then level of performance of the employees, quality of her performance, and relative worth in the organization that is assessed. Next one is complexity. How complex the work is, how much important it is for him to complete the task, and what are the various problems or issues he could he could face while completing the task, and how much assistance he or she requires assistance, monitoring, or technical support he requires. That actually judges the complexity. And the last one is performance of work. The employees can be evaluated regardless of the nature of the work performed. The evaluation can be done relative to his position within the company. Although you may not necessarily grade an entry level employee in the same way that you would a manager. So this is how the four important things are considered for work methods, like nature of job, level of performance, complexity, and performance. Then work methods are decided in the organization. Now, when there is work and efficiency is not being reached, then what happens that the employees try to face few issues, like they might not be happy with the work they are doing, or maybe they are not happy with the payment that is being made, and sometimes they are bored of the work they have done. So what they can do is this all these things are nothing but concepts like fatigue and boredom. So today let us understand what is fatigue and boredom in detail, and then we can actually see how fatigue and boredom can be reduced or avoided. So so at workplace, when the work method is not suitable, or when people are not, employees are not satisfied, then what happens? Fatigue happens and boredom happens. Fatigue means tiredness, which means sometimes because of physical exertion, this kind of effort, this kind of problem is arised. So, fatigue means nothing but tiredness which may arise from exhaustive physical effort and mental boredom. Industrial fatigue and boredom may lead to decline in the curve of productivity or output. So, psychological point of view and physiological point of view, this may happen. Fatigue is the condition, whereas boredom is the result. So they are only difference in aspect. Otherwise, they are same, affecting the mind and body together. There are reasons to hamper productions, and fatigue and boredom are one. And sometimes there will be loss of revenue, and there will be loss of output from the employee and the organization point of view. So fatigue is a condition and boredom is the result. So fatigue occurs when the muscles and reaches our nervous system, and then this fluid increase tiredness and exhaustion. So only our body also produces many things to increase the to do the work, but then tiredness and exhaustion is reached. So when tiredness and exhaustion is reached, the state of mind will make the employee not to work and he will not feel satisfied. Sometimes the work becomes monotonous because of physical and mental exertion. The worker slowly loses interest in his or her worker and starts feeling negative. Therefore, fatigue results in boredom. Now, let us now understand what are the various types of fatigue. There are four types of fatigue: physical fatigue, mental fatigue, nervous fatigue, and industrial fatigue. Physical fatigue is caused by physical fatigue is caused either by continuous work for long periods or the nature of work, like the work may be heavy, okay, or sometimes the physical exertion on the body makes the muscles what restless and maybe they need rest, more rest. So physical exertion leads to physical fatigue. The physical capacities of the workers may be limited, but what is being work is being given, that may be huge. So therefore they feel tired after a continuous work for longer periods. Then the next one is mental fatigue. A worker utilizes his brain for doing any job. He uses his mental capabilities to do the work. If the same work is given again and again, so this may result in mental fatigue. Next one is nervous fatigue. When the worker uses mental and physical capabilities, but sometimes continuously, but then a level is reached where he fails to respond through nervous. So that's why it is called nervous fatigue. And the last one is industrial fatigue. When a worker continues to work for longer periods, his efficiency and productivity will result in nervous fatigue. So, or industrial fatigue, that is what here I mean to say. So, continuous work for a longer period in the industry will lead to industrial fatigue. So, for all these fatigues, we need a kind of solution that has to be developed so that the employees are given proper counseling, support, and the issues have to be addressed so that they perform according to the organizational requirements. So therefore these are the various types of work fatigue that happen in industries when it comes to employees. So in the next class we'll discuss about the causes and how the reasons for fatigue and boredom and how to reduce fatigue and boredom. So but I think today it is enough for the for this particular lecture. So we'll just recap what we have done today. So what we have done today is workspace and arrangements in organizations. We discussed the various factors, broad factors, functional, technical, and financial factors that are required for workspace and arrangements in organization, how to improve work methods and what is a work method, and then what are the work method types and how these are being implemented in industries and organizations. And later we discussed about work fatigue and boredom at workplace and what are the various types of work fatigue which happen in industries. So with this, I think this is enough for today. So in the next class, we'll discuss about various causes and how to reduce fatigue. And there are many things which we have to discuss in a work study. Okay. And one more thing, I just want to tell you people that at the end, I mean, when the syllabus is completed, I'll forward you these PPTs and also notes. No need to worry, and you even important questions. Okay. Thank you.